Stampers and friends. This is Lisa with Live and Let Stamp. Today I'm going to be using the Traditions of Christmas suite to make this card and show you how to make it tie with a bow. Now I'll give you all the measurements and things as we go. This is just another card that I made with this suite. And I used the same type of opening, but no bow. And both of these beautiful flower sprays I cut directly out of DSP. So while this is a little more difficult with the tie, this one actually went together really quickly. And I just used some DSP at the bottom to connect that. All right, so let us get started. I know it looks like I have a shadow down here and I'm not sure why. I'm getting a new light, so that really should help. So I apologize for that shadow at the bottom. My new light comes, I think, tomorrow to go along with my craft room makeover. So excited. If you haven't seen some of the befores and afters, then I welcome you to go back in my post after you watch this and see my the process that I'm going through redoing my craft room. So sorry about that. Let me get started for real this time. So we're going to cut an 8.5 by 11 in half vertically. So this is 11 by 4 1/4. So you can make 2 of these out of 1 piece of cardstock. And I'm going to score it using my scoreboard, my multi-use cutter and scorer. And I'm going to score at 3 3/4. So the blade sits safely out of the way up at the top, and I can just bring up my scorer. And then I'm going to score at 9 3/16. So I know that sounds a little crazy, but if you do it exactly at 9 1/4 and you're off even the tiniest, what'll happen is what happened to me. And it was off a little bit when I cut it, and then it left a gap. And I don't want a gap. If you don't mind the gap, you can do it at 9 1/4. But I'm just backing off from 9 1/4 to 3/16. So 9 3/16. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score. So you bury the bump. So you're going to flip it over and use your bone folder or whatever you have to make a nice edge, a nice fold, I'm sorry. And you can see now that it does overlap just the tiniest bit. And that's what I want. I don't want a gap there. So next we're going to add the DSP to these 2 sections. So these are 2 pieces of DSP from the Traditions of Christmas suite, the paper that comes with it. And I'm just going to check that name again. Yes, it is Traditions of Christmas. And just as a reminder, if you've already seen it, or if you haven't seen all the beautiful papers that are in this collection, and a lot of gold foiling on these pieces of decorative paper. So they're just lovely. This is the one that I used to cut out the flower spray. We'll get to that in just a second. So I have 3.5 by 4 and 1 9/16 by 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue those on. I'm going to use a tape runner. Look at the back. I know what you're thinking. Lisa, why are you using the other side of that and missing out on that gorgeous poinsettia with gold paper? I know. I feel your pain. I really do. But it does really look nice. I'm just going to go ahead and open this out and put that piece on. And then the small piece goes on the small flap. Cat fur. So let's go ahead and put that piece on. Just kind of eyeballing it to get it where I need it to be. Over a little. Okay. So when that closes, it closes like that. And it looks like it's one with, you know, a gap between them, but it actually opens this way. And then you have that overlap, which actually is perfect with where the DSP sits right along that edge. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make this the background for the spray of flowers, poinsettias, and that is a piece of basic white, which is 2 3/8 by 4 5/5, and real red, that's 4 1/2 by 2 1/4. So it's gonna make basically a 1/16 of an inch edge, just enough to peek out and give it just that little white border. Helps the flower stand out a bit, I think. Okay. Let's go ahead and attach that. Again, it's a really, really thin border just around the outside. Perfect. And as I said before, this is the spray of flowers. It was die cut right from this sheet of DSP, and you can see there's still so many, and I've already made 3 of these with ones I've cut. So you get a lot out of the sheet of DSP to cut these out. And on the back of this is a blue stripe, so that one doesn't hurt quite as much because you're not gluing a side that has foil on it. So let's go ahead and put this on. I'm gonna use my liquid glue. Just kind of get that spread around the edges and a little bit in the middle. Okay, and that's gonna go right down just a tad bit there. Sorry for the clashing nails today. I had that for my my Colts. We're 3-0, baby. Go Colts. Huge NFL fan here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and attach that ribbon, because the ribbon goes underneath this piece. So also with the suite, you get this real red ribbon. It is a really pretty shiny, let's see if it tells what it's made. It's a polyester shiny ribbon, and it's 1/2 inch, and it just has that really pretty shine. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's really nice. And I'm going to use 23 inches of this. So with my grid paper, I can measure, that's 16, and then that's another 7. So 23 is right there. And it's more than you need because you want to have plenty to tie, and you don't want to be short for sure. So when I was making this, I tried different ways to attach it. And the first thing I did was my Tombow permanent adhesive, and that didn't work because the ribbon just came right off with the Tombow. So then I tried glue, and that was a huge mistake to use the liquid glue because it went right through the ribbon and I had to throw that piece away because it looked awful. So then it hit me. I need tear and tape. So this is actually one roll of tear and tape I have left over from a paper pumpkin kit, but it is perfect because it really, really holds. So because it's gonna come up and tie right about here, you want the bottom piece to have a little bit extra. So you see there, it's just a little bit extra. And then I'm gonna pull this in half. And I'm gonna use a pin. Get my trusty pin cushion. Just gonna use a pin to mark that spot. Okay, because that's gonna go right here. Okay. So now I'm going to use my grid paper and I'm going to find the middle. I want this to be right in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a smidgen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a smidge. Okay, so this is now right in the middle, and I know it probably doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but you know, it's there as well. So I'm going to take my tear and tape. And I'm going to find that end, just not hard to find. It's not like regular tape, which is very difficult. And I think I'm going to go ahead and tear the piece first. Okay, and then go back. Because I want it right in the middle. So it's going to be there. Down to the bottom. Once it's down, it is down. Okay, you cannot lift it up. Okay, and I tore my piece a little too long because of course I did. Really terrible judging those sizes. Okay, so it's going to go completely around the back. And on this side, it needs to go all the way down this part. So again, I'm going to put that in the center. Let me get my piece of tear and tape. See if I can do it the right length this time. Okay. That looks about center. 8 and a smidge. That's fancy card making lingo. Smidge. You like that? Okay, and then I can actually use the lines on the paper. Help me line that up. It's a little crooked, but it's fine because the ribbon's actually wider than the tear and tape. So now I'm going to go to the back. I'm just going to push this down with my fingernail, or you can use a bone folder or whatever you like, just to make sure that it sticks really well. I'm going to peel that off. Now I need to make sure. Okay, so hold this again. I need to make sure I have the bottom. Okay, so this is the bottom. It's the bottom. I know it's a little awkward. Okay, so this is gonna go here. All right, so I'm going to put my pin right there and just bring my ribbon down. And now, while it will pull up a little bit, and it'll eventually hold really, really tightly. Just leave it there to kind of basically get sealed. Okay, and then we're going to put it on the top. This is driving me crazy over here. There we go. Okay. And that's gonna go right down the middle. Okay. So now we have our ribbon. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our pretty spray of flowers. Now we want to make sure, because this is going to lift up, you want to make sure that the glue only goes here down. So I'm just going to put my finger there and put that right on that line, or you can just hold your finger there. And I'm going to go ahead and put on some liquid glue. Gonna go right there. Make sure I don't have any glue sticking out. I do not, because you don't want to glue it shut. Okay. And then the bow is ready to tie. I decided on the inside of this one to go ahead and make a spray in the corner. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And that also demonstrates how nice the set is. Or if you just want to do something more simple, you could just use a piece of the DSP at the bottom of the inside of your card. Okay. So let's go ahead and stamp that. So I have my my little mat, my piercing mat. And I have some copy paper here because it's going to go over the edge here. I'm going to get my ink. And the set is called Christmas Greenery. And you'll notice that this and this are the two sprays that I cut out of the paper. Well, you don't have to cut them out of the paper. You can make your own. So I'm going to use that particular stamp, and there are the dies. These two, of course, cut out that DSP. But I want the stamps. So it's this one. And this needs a big block. So I'm going to use my E block, and I'm just going to let that lay down there. Okay. So I want, here's how I looked at it. I want this piece of greenery to show and this piece of greenery to show. And that's how I decided how to stamp it. And how to line it up. So that piece of greenery, and that looks good. Okay. Flip that over. So I'm going to go ahead and add the color here. And this is going to be done in Bubble Bath, because what I'm doing is I'm matching the colors that are on the flower spray on the front of my card. So at first, I wasn't real thrilled with the pink in this Christmas set. But if you've ever seen a white carnation, a white poinsettia, they're actually pinkish. And I thought, oh, okay, now I get it. Totally get it. So back to my stamp set. It's this stamp. which I have here. And you see this kind of square there? Okay. It goes, it's really hard to match up when you've cut some of the poinsettia off. But it goes just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some bubble bath ink and line it up. Now my leaves are gold on the actual spray of flowers, but I'm gonna make them old olive. And take that out. So it's this one, and I'm gonna need this one as well. And this one. And that's my little bit of pine there. This is Old Olive, which is one of the colors in the DSP. Okay. Go ahead and take that off and do the group of leaves, also in Old Olive. And there's a little piece of one right there. So I'm just gonna do that right there. For the flower here, I'm gonna use Real Red because it coordinates with this flower. There's my Real Red. That goes right there. That's a nice pop of color. And then we have this beautiful Pool Party flower coming right off the edge there. This is a really juicy, a very juicy stamp pad. So I just use my bone folder to move some of that ink around. So this will be nice and light. There it is. Trying to find where. There we go. So it makes a very, very pretty inside of your card. Show some love to the inside of your card. Looks like I have a little bit of a smudge there. So I'm gonna work with it. I'm just gonna put some green dots on the edges, on the ends. And then it looks like it's supposed to be there. All right, let's go ahead and put on our adhesive. And finish our card up with our sentiment and tie. Okay. So the inside goes right there. This is 5 1/4 by 4. It's actually a little less than 5 1/4 to make up for how we cut a little bit off of this sizing. For our sentiment, I used this set, which is also part of the suite. It's called Traditional Labels. I highly recommend it. You can see it has such beautiful sayings for the holiday season, and the dies are fantastic. So you can use them all through the year to put your sentiments or your stamp right on them. The one I'm using today is this one. And instead of season's greetings, I did sending love and joy. So that's going to go on this panel. So I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to put them kind of towards the bottom, because I found that's where they really need to be, so that they're on the green part and not elevated. There we go. Peel off the backing. And apply. Okay. Now we just need our bling. So I chose to use the traditional sparkling sequins. Also comes in the suite. That's what's so awesome about Stampin' Up! I mean, everything will match. You just know. There's no, oh, this isn't quite the right shade. It's everything matches. It's awesome. I'm going to get my little tool here, and I'm going to use, I'm going to use this large one. I didn't do a large one on the other one. To get that where it overlaps correctly. I'm going to put one there, and then maybe a medium here, and I'm going to put another medium one over here. Okay, now it's ready to tie. So if you're wondering, Lisa, how am I going to put this in an envelope when you put that big old bow on there? You can purchase envelopes that are thicker, more like little boxes, in order to send this, or you could make your own by measuring. I knew I'd have trouble doing this live. You can make your own by measuring, finding a template, or you can get punch boards or scoring boards. Oh my goodness, come on. Yay! But I want to flip this so the shiny side shows. I am like the world's worst tire of bows. I don't like it. I don't like it. Let me try again. I have a We Are Memory Keepers scoreboard that makes envelopes and will make box-shaped envelopes. There we go. There's my pretty bow. Sheesh. Okay, I'm just going to use my scissors here to cut that. And now it's so beautiful. All right, there it is. And show this one as well. On this one I used 3 different shades of those shiny sequin dots. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about any of the products or any of the dimensions, please give me a comment, send me a message. I will have this posted on my blog and the video posted on YouTube by tomorrow. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.